Welcome to MCTV Bi-Weekly Update. I'm Alyssa Barricelli.
And I'm Katie Johnston. We've got a lot in store for you tonight, so let's get right down to the first top story. The Harlem Shake has become a new phenomenon everywhere. Seemingly replacing Gangnam Style, this new musical trend has been picking up pace with a movement on YouTube. People from all parts of the nation have been releasing videos to this song, and Marist is joining the trend. This past weekend, there was a huge gathering on the main side of campus, where Marist students gathered to film a campus-wide version of the Harlem Shake videos. Hundreds of students on college campuses, various bands, and even Jon Stewart have all done their own versions of the video. Some hope this fad will fade quickly, but others are enjoying its provocative nature and good dance beat. For now, though, Marist will be featured among other videos clogging up the internet. So you see the video this weekend? Did you see them filming it?
I don't know if it's entertaining or disturbing, but I'm enjoying it.
I walked by and there was a kid in a gorilla suit, so I don't know. They really got into that one, but I don't know.
Don't mind that last story because this next story will blow your brains out. Okay, enough with the puns. President Obama's administration has announced that they will be heavily endorsing a decade-long effort to examine the brain. Their hopes for the project are to find new therapies for mental illnesses such as Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, as well as better understanding and physical mapping of the functions of the brain in charge of perception, action, and consciousness. Another possible outcome of this new project will increase the potential for artificial intelligence with a turn back to innovation and science. The president wants to unveil this new project in March.
Another plan the Obama administration has in the works is focused on immigration. The 11 million illegal immigrants will be forced to the back of the line to wait for citizenship after all the legal immigrants. The plan notes that any illegal currently in the country will not be granted a green card or receive resident status until 8 years after the bill is put into place, or 30 days after visas have been distributed to all the immigrants who applied legally, whichever comes first. This draft has caused quite a stir in Washington, D.C., and is hitting a hard wall of Republican criticism. Some are even calling the plan, quote, dead on arrival, and, quote, very counterproductive. Advisors to the president are stating that this draft is just one of many backup plans in the works to ensure the issue is taken care of. It'll be interesting to see how this bill plays out in the coming weeks.
Definitely, it's whatever. Now let's check into the sports world with Josh Kallen.
Thanks, Alyssa. As the first half of the NBA season wrapped up, there has been some bright moments and shockers that have surprised the NBA universe. Starting with the reigning NBA champions Miami Heat. Going into the break, the Heat are first in the Eastern Conference with a 36-14 record. LeBron James has not lost his stride, having another NBA caliber season. In the month of February, he has shot over 65% from the field and is scoring over 30 points a game. In the West, the Oklahoma City Thunder are having another strong year, led by Kevin Durant, who is averaging a league-best 29.2 points per game. The Thunder sit second in the West behind the San Antonio Spurs. The Thunder can be a real threat again in the playoffs if they keep up this great play. A surprising team going to the All-Star break are the New York Knicks. Led by Carmelo Anthony, the Knicks are playing the best basketball in a long time as they sit second in the East behind the Heat with a 32-18 record. Carmelo is playing the best basketball in his career by averaging 28.6 points per game and shooting over 45% from the field. Another reason the Knicks are succeeding is because of their tough defense. Ever since Mike Woodson took over as head coach, the Knicks defense has caused havoc to other teams. One of the biggest disappointments of the first half are the Los Angeles Lakers. Going into this year, there was big hype that the Lakers were the team to beat because they brought in Steve Nash and Dwight Howard. This team has been nothing but disaster in the first half as they sit 10th in the Western Conference with a 25-29 record. Communication and lack of play have hurt the Lakers this season. Dwight Howard has underperformed greatly in his play along with many injuries he has had, especially the one to his right shoulder. Moving from professional to collegiate basketball, this season has been far from a disappointment. It's only February and it feels as if the madness has already started. No one is safe this season as the number one team has lost 6 times this season in 5 straight weeks. There's been a new number one team from January 7th to February 4th. Indiana lost to Butler early in the season on January 15th, 88-86 in overtime. Then starting in the middle of January, all the number one teams went down. Duke lost to North Carolina State 84-76 in Week 10. Louisville lost to Syracuse 70-68 in Week 11. Duke lost again, this time to Miami 90-63 in Week 12. And Michigan went down against Indiana 81-73 in Week 13. As the last few weeks wind down, we look forward to the conference championships and the NCAA tournament. I can guarantee one thing: it is going to be one of the most exciting NCAA tournaments we have yet to see. 113 days later, we have a resolution. The NHL is finally back after a deal was made to end the lockout. From 82 to 48 games, no All-Star break and Winter Classic, the NHL finally resumed. After the first weeks of the revised season have passed, there has been a few teams that have caught our eyes so far. The New Jersey Devils are starting off the year strong as one of the top contenders in the Eastern Conference. They are led by legendary goaltender Martin Brodeur and left winger Patrick Elias. In the Western Conference, the Chicago Blackhawks have really made a statement in the early part of the season. Right winger Patrick Kane is once again leading this team as they look to improve from last year when they were knocked out of the playoffs in the first round. Baseball is back. Spring training has finally arrived and teams have reported to training camp. In last year's season, we witnessed a lot of everything, especially in the postseason, from the Washington Nationals being the #1 seed in the National League to the San Francisco Giants sweeping the Detroit Tigers in the World Series. This year, we expect to see some of that same madness that happened last postseason. Over the break, there have been a few big trades and contract signings. Felix Hernandez of the Seattle Mariners signed a seven-year contract worth $175 million to be the #1 pitcher with the Mariners for years to come. Also, a big trade made over the break was Kevin Youkilis being traded to the Yankees. After 9 seasons with the Boston Red Sox and last season with the Chicago White Sox, this came as a surprise since the Yankees and Red Sox are one of the biggest rivalries in sports. That's all from here in the sports world, keeping you up to date in professional and collegiate sports around the country. I'm Josh Kallen.
Thanks, Josh. Speaking of the hockey strike, after 5 weeks of protest, the New York City school bus strike is finally coming to an end. When New York City Mayor Bloomberg started cutting costs and put nearly 1,100 bus routes up for bid, the drivers reacted. This was the first strike by bus drivers in New York City since 1979. Michael Cordello, president of the drivers' union, spoke at a conference call Friday, stating that the union had decided to end its strike after 5 current Democratic candidates for mayor pledged to, quote, revisit the school bus transportation system if elected. Over 150,000 students were affected by the strike, but luckily 9,000 drivers will be going back to work on Wednesday.
Getting back to the swing of things every semester can be difficult for every Marist College student. Luckily, the school hosts a semesterly activities fair to help students get back into the swing of things. More with that is Allie Reed.
Each semester, Marist College hosts an activities fair for students to come and sign up for clubs that interest them.
Due to the recent construction, the semi-annual activities fair was held in the Cabaret. From noon until 1:30 p.m. on January 30th, students filtered in and out of the crowded cafe to learn more about their favorite clubs. To attract members, certain groups brought equipment, others brought flashy signs, and one club even drew in students with blackjack and free candy. Ranging from chess clubs to WMAR to frats and sororities, almost every campus-wide club was represented. As an involved student body, Marist Red Foxes jumped at the opportunity to do more around campus.
I like getting involved because it brings priority points, which is great for housing, and you need that for next year.
I didn't really sign up for anything yet, but actually looking into a comedy improv club, and there's a frat that asked me to join them, but I have to think about that because I'm not sure about Greek life yet.
In possible members, I just want people that want to be there, that have the drive to be able to learn while they're also having fun at the same time.
Each club was looking for different types of members, but at the end of the event, everyone seemed pleased with the turnout. Now, each group has the task of organizing meetings and events as the semester gets underway.
Reporting for MCTV News, I'm Allie Reed.
In more campus-wide news, we have Bernegger with Red Fox Sports.
Thanks, Katie. As the winter season is coming to a slow conclusion, both men's and women's basketball are vying for a good spot in the upcoming MAC tournament. Both teams had games on Friday and Sunday. The women started off by winning at home 68-41 versus Niagara. Christina Danella led all women in scoring as she put up 16 points, 12 of those coming in the second half. The girls carried their luck into Sunday as they picked up another big win at home. The score was 66-47 as the girls defeated Manhattan. Freshman Sydney Coffey scored 14 points as the girls' team clinched the top seed in the MAC tournament. The guys' team had a tough weekend as they played great basketball but came up short in both the games. On Friday, the guys took on Niagara and suffered a tough loss as sophomore Wanya Green hit a three-pointer with 1.5 seconds left. As a result, the guys lost 57-54. Adam Kemp led scoring as he put up 17 points. The guys then traveled to Ryder on Sunday for a chance to redeem themselves. Once again, they came up short as they lost 67-63. Siobhan Lewis led all scorers with 18 points. The guys take on VMI at home next Saturday as they prepare for the MAC tournament. Basketball wasn't the only thing brewing on campus. This weekend marked the start of spring sports, with men's lacrosse, women's lacrosse, and baseball in action. The men's lacrosse team had their first home game on Saturday. The team started off strong as they won 13-9. The team fought back from a 5-2 first quarter deficit to get their first win of the season. 4 players had hat tricks as Jack Doherty, Connor Rice, Jim Marks, and Mike Begley all had 3 goals to complete the victory. The guys are home again this Saturday as they square off against Sacred Heart. The girls' lacrosse team also opened their campaign as they traveled to Lafayette. Sadly, the girls came up short as they lost 12-8. Ashley Miller and Amanda Tuck led the scoring with 2 goals each. The girls have their home opener this Tuesday against Colgate. Lastly, the baseball team traveled down to North Carolina as they opened the season with their first 3 games. The guys got off to a tough start as they lost 11-3 to Elon in the first game. The second game against Virginia Commonwealth was canceled due to inclement weather. The guys finished strong as they beat Boston College 9-3. Shortstop Zach Shank went 5 for 5 as the guys got their first victory of the season. That's all I have for the Red Fox Report. I'm Brendan Bernegger. Back to you guys.
So have you been to any exciting Red Fox games lately?
I actually haven't gotten to go to a basketball game yet this semester, and it's disappointing because I always like going, but I'll probably work that in soon.
Yeah, I need to work that in too.
Yeah.
Tonight we are introducing something new. Frank Talamo will be doing a new bi-weekly musical update. Take it away, Frank.
Thank you. After 6 studio albums with his primary band and a few side projects under the pseudonym Yim Yames, My Morning Jacket frontman Jim James is finally out with his debut solo album, Regions of Light and Sound of God. Though it's not much of a departure from the work of the Jacket, this record is an extremely strong effort from the psych rock veteran. James relies heavily on jarring, unpredictable, and effective syncopation, especially on state-of-the-art A-E-I-O-U and Dear One. Each track has a distinct and emotional feel, from the spare acoustic feeling A New Life to the very groovy Of the Mother Again. A lot of the songs on this record call to mind other indie rock stalwarts. No Till Now sounds like it could be a Wilco tune, and the instrumental Exploding feels like an Iron and Wine track. James lyrically channels Ellis Costello on Actress with lyrics like, "You're good at making everybody believe they're in love with you." With stunning ease, he goes from about as little instrumentation as possible to wall of sound, sometimes from song to song. For more music coming out soon, look out for the Fifth Strokes LP, which drops on March 26th, and the new Dawes record, which will be out April 9th. This has been Frank Talamo with your Musical Minute.
I'm actually really excited for the new Strokes LP. I can't wait for that.
I've been trying to get my hands on some Beyonce tickets for the past
Really?
couple of weeks, so that's my musical update.
Good luck getting them.
Yeah.
Switching gears over to the world of entertainment, let's check over with Brittany Jelinski and get the lowdown on who is doing what and what is getting hot.
Thanks, Katie. Welcome back, Marist College. I'm Brittany Jelinski with all of your breaking entertainment news. First, a story that, if it doesn't shock you, will probably just make you laugh. Connor Kennedy, aka one of Taylor Swift's ex-boyfriends, was arrested last week during a protest in D.C. Kennedy and other protesters handcuffed themselves to the front gates of the White House in order to protest the new pipeline being installed that will transmit oil to the Texas Gulf Coast. I mean, at least it was for a good cause, right? Well, in other news, Katy Perry and John May are maybe much more serious than any of us could have imagined. Perry was seen wearing a heart-shaped ruby ring on her ring finger. Yeah, the one you typically wear when you have an engagement ring on. And after the first two spend Valentine's Day together, neither have commented on the rumors, but Mayer did talk a week earlier about getting married one day. He told CBS, quote, "I mean, I'm still that kid from Connecticut, and that's what you do." And as we all know, with celebrity marriage comes adorable celebrity babies, like Jay-Z and Beyonce's baby, Blue Ivy, who makes her on-screen debut in Beyonce's biography, Life is But a Dream. The documentary aired on February 16th, HBO, so if you're trying to catch up on the star's life, you better hurry. Speaking of documentaries, this leads me into my favorite portion of today's show, the Academy Awards. To those of you who haven't watched any TV, listened to any radio, or read any news of some sort in the last month, this has been filled with award shows, and this Sunday is the greatest one of them all, the Oscars. And even though Beyonce's documentary is not in the running for an award, let's see what is. 5 Broken Cameras, The Gatekeepers, 2 documentaries that explore life in the Middle East. How to Survive a Plague, a remarkable story following the AIDS epidemic. The Invisible War, a riveting first-hand account of the injustice that goes on in our armed services. And Searching for Sugar Man, about a group of filmmakers who look for a legendary South African singer. And for those of you who are wondering which film will win Best Picture, here are the nominees. Amour, a French film about love being tested by time, when a woman learns about her troubles behind her 80-year-old parents' marriage. Argo, the movie of a government plan to save 6 American hostages by faking a movie script that's actually based on a true story. Beasts of the Southern Wild, the heart-wrenching story of a young, courageous 6-year-old who ventures out to find her mother after her father becomes ill. Some of the other nominees include Life of Pi, Lincoln, Django Unchained, Zero Dark 30, Silver Linings Playbook, and Les Mis. Since all of these films have been so critically acclaimed and loved by audiences everywhere, it is hard to say who will win. However, according to HuffPost, Argo has the best chances of winning, and Best Picture isn't the only award this film has been nominated for. It's also up for film editing, music, sound editing, sound mixing, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Alan Arkin is nominated for Best Supporting Actor. You can tune into the 85th Academy Awards this Sunday on ABC. And that's all we have time for this week. I'm Brittany Jelinski, keeping you in the know.
Know where you're watching the Oscars yet?
I do not. Any suggestions?
Well, I know that this Sunday, MCTV is having an Oscar viewing party, so I'll definitely be at that.
Okay, see you there. Back in January, CNN anchor and chief Washington, D.C. correspondent Jake Tapper came to Marist's own Nellie Galetti Theater to discuss his best-selling novel, The Outpost, an untold story of American valor. The story of the men of Combat Outpost Keating in Afghanistan and their various life stories. Through his career, Tapper has worked for the New York Times, the Washington Post, NPR's All Things Considered, and before his recent move to CNN, worked as an anchor on ABC's This Week. During the talk, Tapper went into great detail about the war and as well as the families and troops involved in it. Through extensive research, Tapper found out the view of the war from the perspective of those overseas and shared a few heartbreaking stories he had heard through his journey for the truth. Tapper also discussed issues such as the ongoing Iraq War and journalism itself. After the talk, Tapper took questions from the audience and signed copies of his book, which were being sold at the event. Questions answered included those about the outpost and positions in the war, as well as the strategy now being employed by our government for pulling troops out of the area. Tapper focused most of his speech and answers around the men and women he wrote about in his book.
That isn't the only political news to hit our campus. Each administration that is elected for student body president has to deliver a State of the Campus address to the student body as well as members of the SGA. Just like any president would, on Wednesday, February 13th, de Blasio administration gave its address. Student body president Paul de Blasio was elected last year around this time to represent the entire student body of Marist Campus and the Student Government Association. In this speech, de Blasio focused on the successes his administration has achieved so far and the projects they hope to conquer in the near future. De Blasio is a senior, and this will be the last year he gets the chance to be a part of SGA, and he is not taking that lightly. His administration does not plan on giving up in these last 2 months and just stepping aside once the younger administration is sworn in. De Blasio outlined the next steps of action for his administration in his address.
The Information Technology Council has worked on many projects throughout the year. The largest project for the ITC has been the digitization of the parking ticket appeal system. This transition will allow for more efficiency and decrease paper usage. The system is projected to go live by the end of February. Additionally, the ITC has started an exploratory committee to reconfigure and improve the club management system and the club usage of iLearn. The ITC's flagship goal has been to help clubs utilize information technology resources they have at their disposal. This goal will continue to define the council. The Student Programming Council has been working diligently to provide great programs on campus for the Marist community. SBC has worked on dozens of events, including coffee houses, Hunter Mountain trips, Broadway trips, late-night movies. Students across campus are eager to see the Goo Goo Dolls perform at the Riverfront for our annual spring concert. The Athletic Affairs Committee has been working hand-in-hand with the Athletics Department to diligently address student and student-athlete concerns. One of the most significant programs the AAC has continued to work on is the creation of outdoor basketball courts. During the past semester, the AAC pioneered a petition which received over 650 student signatures supporting the creation of an outdoor basketball court.
With elections being held from Monday, the 25th, to Wednesday, the 27th, it won't be long until the de Blasio administration is no longer. Hoping to carve out a path for his successor, de Blasio will leave on good terms at the end of this semester.
With the election season coming up again, the potential candidates are looking for outlets to get their voices heard by these students. Covering the SGA speech night, here is Peter Malavenda.
This year's candidates for student government took the podium tonight defending their candidacy for next year's administration. The SGA held speech night in the PAR for this year's candidates for student government. Most of the turnout was for the speeches of those running for student body president. Those candidates were allotted a certain amount of time to present their speech. Each person discussed issues facing the entire student body as opposed to their respective class. One candidate spoke about how she plans on handling the lack of experience that will be hitting the SGA over the next year.
I look at it as an opportunity. Number one, it's an opportunity for us as student government to reach beyond our bounds and to go and reach people who have never been in student government before. I think a lot of times people look at student government as an exclusive club and entity, but it's inclusive and it's an opportunity for us to get people who might have never decided to be in student government involved in student government. And number two, I really think a huge part of that is going to be based on how Jane and I educate people. And the first couple of weeks that we will have during this semester before we go into next semester is going to be focused on the building blocks of being a student government member and also just being a leader in general.
Candidates running for individual class positions spoke out about why they were running and what they would do for their class if elected. Positions included treasurer, historian, secretary, president, and vice president. They discussed issues commonly raised by students, such as food quality in the dining hall and transportation home during breaks. Some candidates had never been involved in student government prior to their candidacy this semester. All potential officers talked about ways to keep the Marist community strong.
Unfortunately, one of the drawbacks of getting all these people here is they probably have their minds made up anyway of who they're going to see. But with this being on MCTV and hopefully being online, we have the advantage of actually reaching out to more people who may be able to make a more educated decision than they were in the past. So
I would like to honestly say that Jane and I are much more of a perfect pairing. In a lot of different ways. Jane and I really balance each other out. We're not exactly the same exact person. We don't think the same way. We do think very differently, but I think we have the same missions and goals. And I really feel that we are learning to work cohesively together to realize that some people can have a perspective like Jane and some people can have a perspective like mine. How can we bring that together and make everything as effective and as efficient as possible?
I thought it was a really great night. I actually spoke with some other SGA members and they said that this was probably the best candidate speech night we've had in terms of just the quality of the speakers. So I think everybody agrees it went pretty well.
After the speeches, the candidates took questions from the audience.
The sky's the limit. Anything you want to do, tell me. Don't be afraid. We work together. We're a team.
SGA will host the debate night Thursday, February 21st, and elections will be held online on Monday the 25th through Wednesday the 27th. I'm Peter Malavenda, reporting for MCTV News.
Well, it looks like that's all we have for you tonight. I'm Katie Johnston.
And I'm Alyssa Barricelli. You stay foxy, Marist College.